Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today in this session of Author Life. Today I'm with Mr. Joydip, and we're going to talk about his book Neem Baba. So I'm just going to give it away to Mr. Joydip to introduce himself and also his book to the audience.
Hi SB, thanks and gratitude for the introduction. I'm an author from West Bengal and I currently reside in Bardwan. I've written 20 plus books and the Neem Baba is my latest book.
Right.
It's a fast-paced medical thriller. It has some insights on Indian healthcare industry and it has also some insights on Indian environmental scenario.
Mm-hmm. Right. You mentioned that the book is a medical thriller, so we will get to discussing the book itself. But before we start, could you elaborate a little on that? Because this is not more of a heard term in the publishing industry, or maybe for the audience.
Yes, I think that there were a lot of medical thrillers on, I have read on UK and US, and basically this is all surrounded around healthcare industry. Sometimes the situations, the stories are like the organs are missing or something. In India also there was some OTT stuff which has come up, and recently there was an OTT picture which came up on healthcare, on medical thriller. So it's a kind of medical thriller. So this is medical thriller is a thriller kind of which is involved with the healthcare industry. So that is the generic. It's thriller specific to the healthcare industry, and Neem Baba is specific to healthcare industry.
Okay.
So we see that, so that's why it's a medical thriller.
Right. So what inspired you to write this book?
Now that's a very it's a very interesting question because you can see this book. This is like you have a large neem tree. This is the Neem Baba book, and there's a temple on there, right? And so the and the book is published by the wonderful publisher Ukiyoto. You can see that there is there, and the back the logo is there, right? And so before I go little on that aspect, because that's a very elaborate question, I am basically looking after an healthcare NGO, right? So last 2 years we have faced a number of challenges. Right. And one of the challenge, if you see the India's past COVID wave, when it came, it was we have some extraordinary results. I mean, if you look at it, the kind of spending we do on healthcare. If you look at the United States, they spend 17% of their GDP on healthcare. Whereas India spends 3% of their GDP, 1.5% of their GDP in healthcare. Okay. So you can see the disparity of the spending, yet we as a country have successfully gone out of the COVID fast wave. And yet the US has stumbled. And what was the reason? One of the reasons is that we from ages had the practice of alternative medicine. People used to take neem to our grandmothers used to have their recipes. Right. When we have common cough, the grandmothers used to come with their recipe that you have to take these and these and these and these. And it's not it's not that mainstream healthcare, because we don't have that capacity. If all the people will be infected and if all this will run on the hospitals, then our hospitals cannot bear that. So we don't have that infrastructure. But these grandma's recipes was actually helpful for us to go across the COVID fast wave. It was the second wave we tumbled. One of the reasons is because second wave is an emergency. All the people were having emergency problems. If you look at, there was oxygen crisis, there were crises on breathing problems. So this was not there on the fast wave, and we could handle things with alternative medicine. Now, in the alternative medicine model, we cannot handle emergency treatment. That is where you need oxygen cylinders. You need, when your oxygen saturation falls, you need oxygen cylinder, which is not there. So in the second wave, we tumbled. And so we have to see that because of we had a strong alternative healthcare system, we had successfully covered the first wave. And the second wave, we don't have the mainstream healthcare to handle. This was not, you cannot handle a patient which is having problems with oxygen saturation with alternative medicine. It's not possible. So then the second wave will tumble. And so in this book, what was inspired me to, in this time, in this 2 years time when we go through, because we are in healthcare NGO, we had to be, both on uh, field and also on talking to people, international expense, and most of the time we don't know about things, we don't know how to address, what to do, and there were people who were all guessing. And so we have to talk with people, we have to make white papers, we have to think, because it was an unknown thing for us. And as a healthcare NGO, we had a lot of pressure. Our volunteer size was, we had a very small size of healthcare, operation, probably 4 or 5 people. And we grew to around about 30 people. When the big times of COVID, there were people literally coming from different countries and supporting us and telling us, they were volunteers were joining on their own and saying that we want to help. Tell me what can we do from Delhi, from different parts of the country. And we are discussing what to do. Even in the May and April, I would see that it was like every day we are having so many deaths and people were scared. The systems are breaking down. And we are having everyday discussion what to do. I mean, all this, we have gone through a period which is a period of horror. And complete, and on sitting on the and going through that, you probably has gone through that disease, and all others have gone through that. We know what is it. And so I thought that we need to approach healthcare in a different way. I mean, this is the fast inspirations behind this book. Probably we need to go back and say that we have our own capacity to heal ourselves. That was the message which book tries to give. We have our capacity, we have a self-healing capacity. In fact, the model of vaccine is like that. It tries to instigate your immunity. So
Right.
you yourself can also have this. And this was also our, if you look at homeopathy, if you look at alternative healthcare models, they were not trying to go and trying to give something from a to trying to solve problems in a very short term. They were trying to instigate your own immunity, that you yourself try to fight the disease which you are in. So this
Right.
was which inspired me, and I was looking for case studies, I was looking for doctors, I was looking for people who have been done it. And then I came across to a man. A man wasn't, what do you say? The man was the father of integrative medicine in India. His name is Dr. C.P. Matthews.
Okay.
He was from Kottayam Medical College. He's from far in the south. He's an oncologist, very famous oncologist. He died just in 2021. He was all there on the COVID, and his life inspired me. One of the reasons is that if you look, he was practicing medicine in his practice oncology. In 1983, what happened is that he found that he was not able to solve a lot of severe cases by using his methods and things and like that. And he was finding that somebody called Lada Vaidyan, Lada Vaidyan is one who is a wandering aesthetic who treats, you find in the South India, you find in Karnataka, you find in Andhra Pradesh, you find in Kerala, and these are Siddha practitioners. They were caring these patients. And this man was absolutely, what you say, he was stunned. He said that I'm not able to solve this, and how this person is going to. He tried to get in touch with these Lada Vaidyan, and these people doesn't, he was tight-lipped. They don't tell you what exactly they were doing. And so what, they say that no, we don't know, we do it. Let's say that. And they were, you can't catch them. They just treat you, the patient, they don't want anything from you, and then go ahead. So it was, he called a person to track them, and at a night at 2 a.m., he received the call that we have tracked that Lada Vaidyan who is solving, healing cancer patients. And he ran to that person and he caught him, and he said that, Guruji, you have to teach me, because I am not able to handle. And he said, no, I don't teach them that way. And so he actually did something which is extraordinary. He left his entire, oncology practice, and he took an robes like a sannyasi, and he started going around him to learn the art of this Siddha medicine. And later he came back. After learning from him. Later he came back, and he actually cured a lot of people from cancer. So he is a very famous doctor. And so this was unique, because one doctor going out from his own profession, because he doesn't have answers, and trying to sort out by going to the ancient medicinal practice which are there told, and bring back, combining them. So that's why his life inspired me. And this is what, though my story is very loosely inspired, you would not find reference of Matthews. I have designed the story, trying to.
Mr. Joydip, your video is lagging a bit, so can you just repeat that last part?
Yes, my story is loosely inspired from Dr. C.P. Matthews. It doesn't have a direct reference.
Okay.
It also talks about a person like that. I will not be, give spoilers.
Yes.
So it talks about a person like that, and that's here. And so here, this is the, you have this small procession going on.
Okay.
That's why it's a
No,
little
but I
background
can hear you
noise.
clearly. I can hear you clearly, so it's not an issue. Don't worry.
That's little bit of they are going out. Because
Okay, so
here we have a Durga Puja coming up, so there is a Durga Carnival which is happening here.
Yes.
And
Okay.
so that's why there was little, lot of coming up. It was not scheduled. So now what was coming back to that point, that it is it is loosely inspired. My book Neem Baba is loosely inspired from Dr. Sim. We don't have a direct reference, but we have some ideas, which is basically a doctor who is very compassionate towards the patients,
Right.
And then he comes out.
Okay, so I mean, the fact that you've given me such an extensive um, uh, behind story to the book itself, I can now connect a lot of these things to the book as well. Obviously, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I feel like there's this juxtaposition of rural and urban, and especially in technology, like you already mentioned in the real life story that you told me about an oncologist. So I feel like that's also reflected in the book itself. So how much, like, what was your writing process like? Because you have this inspiration of a story, and the story itself is a little bit different from this anecdote that you've given me. So can you tell us a bit about your writing process?
You have to come again with the question, because there was so much of noise which was coming because of the procession which is coming. So can you repeat the question?
So I just wanted to know the writing process for you for this book.
You see, I am a more of a kind of, there are writers who basically writers who basically plan a lot and try to structure and try to put every chapter in account. Whereas I have done my writing course from, one is from Open University and from British Council, and both of them teaches this way. While I started writing, I felt that it becomes a lot an obstacle if you try to write like that. So I'm a kind of tank star kind of writer. I don't plan anything. I try to go on the wave and try, because there's two things. Earlier when I was writing, I was from a management field. I was an alumni of IIM Calcutta. I was teaching there, so I had this stupid kind of management kind of approach on writing. I used to plan everything, chalk it everything, and open everything.
Right.
Then I used to stop, and nothing happens. For days and days, I planned and it stopped. Then I said the writing doesn't happen that way. Then I found that if I let kind of the consumed by the characters, consumed by the story, then it automatically happens. So I changed my approach, and before, say, I completed my course in 2015, and period of 3 years or 4 years, I have not written something very oathful. I
Okay.
was just trying to follow their model, taking notes. They were realistic. They have given realistic writing phenomena. They are more of realistic thing, and they write. Their teachings are more realistic. So I take notes and try to sum up that notes, plan, and do all the stuff. And you say, I don't write anything with that. It doesn't matter. Then I came with the work of Salman Rushdie. And Rushdie's writing was one thing. On the reality, he put up a lot of magical elements. You find you are in reality, and at the same time, you find you are in the magic, some space which is in reality, but is not in reality. Though in this book, I have not tried that convention, but that was kind of which inspired me. I started think writing in a different way. I tried to rather go to the character and let that inspiration, not with coming planning, that stupid approach, but to wait that inspiration to come in their own way, and to give them a little bit of space. Because when you try to put a lot of planning, your space gets consumed. You can't think in a creative way. So I have changed recently. I have changed my style, and it has been very productive for me. I've been bringing out stories after stories, one after another, just because like that.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I think stories, because of this reason, I think stories come from a very different plane, which is not real, which is also not unreal. I mean, it's a middle plane. This is this can be very different for different person, but this is what it brings me, because I have tried out many ways, and the stories never came out. I have tried, planned, chalk, all
Yes,
things.
and also, Mr. Joydeep, I feel like this is such a realistic advice even for people who might be watching this and who might want to try their hand at writing. Because, like you mentioned, you've been changing your writing styles and you've been getting inspired by different types of writing, and also you let inspiration hit you. And the whole process itself isn't just one formulaic process. So I feel like this is definitely something, I mean, very realistic, I feel like, when it comes to writing. And because you're mentioning how, like, you're always inspired by different styles of writing. And because you yourself are such a prolific writer, you have so many books out in multiple genres. So, is social message something that drives your writing in general because of your profession?
I think it's a very interesting question. It's a very apt question. Initially, when I used to write, and when I used to, uh, what do you say? When I used to go up and pick up a project that I want to write on this, I was not. To be honest, I didn't. I was focused on the characters and the things, and the message was not at all which was I was thinking.
Okay.
But then what happened is that you know then these 2 years of COVID obviously has changed many things on me and many things on the world also, because I felt that most of the time, because we are seeing people in a very desperate situations,
Right.
we were seeing everyday things which were so striking in such a way. I mean, much of my writing work actually began in this period, because earlier I don't have to get a lot of time to think and
Okay.
write. I think
Yeah.
I 2020 I started writing stories because I have a lot of time to, I don't know how to spend it. I spend a lot of time on discussing what is to go on COVID and something, but then also I have time because you have a whole day full of that, and that is
Yeah.
what when you have time, then you started writing. And then I thought that probably I am not using the writing the way I should use, because writers have a power, have a power to send a message to the society in a way that no other people have. It's a
True.
fundamental thing. Even if you look films and all other expression, they comes after you write something. So, and I have read some scriptures where they say from the earlier generation, it's the it's the thoughts when they take a form of word. It's where the society understands something. Otherwise, it's inside you. You don't know what is going to happen. So this conversion of a thought to a word is related to the construction of a society. The organized society, what we see. So that was which struck me. And he said that you have a wonderful power with you, and you are not just not using it. You are just trying to play with it. So that was where I become very serious. I say that, look, if I am working with a social organization, some of the also interviews I listened to, there was one writer from in Calcutta. One is Saranji Chakraborty, very famous writer. He's writing right now. And he said that somebody, interviewer asked him that, look, you are writing, you are writing a lot of, novels. But you're not doing any social work. You're not going to any social, you in the COVID, you were completely absent. You were not there anywhere. She said, look, what I do with my writing is that I have developed a kind of social reflection, a reflection of what the society is. And I share the reflection. That is my social work. And it stuck to me. It said, man, yes, if I I have a certain ways to see that situation, in this Neem Baba book even. I was seeing healthcare in a very different way. In a very way, you have alternative healthcare one way, you have the mainstream healthcare, you have all streams of healthcare. And we are seeing a reflection. It's a reflection, what the healthcare is supposed to be, what the self-healing is supposed to be. There's a lot of layers on the story, and you can go into each layer and find that this is the mainstream healthcare, this is the commercialization, this is where you are coming up with alternative healthcare, and this is coming up with the self-healing. So all these you can tell much better by a story. Then you can tell, go to somebody and tell them, look, this is why it's problem. Nobody is listening. But today, the people read the story. Before I have come and published, and we was in the publishing with the Ukiyoto, I was reading it into the different writing groups. I was reading in the Pune writing group. I was reading on different other writing groups. So what happened is that when they actually, we had to read, and there was like feedbacks which comes, right? And so all the writers are there, they give feedback. So what happened, this was a big story, so it has to be written in two days. So fast day, I didn't realize that there was a doctor on the writer. He was a doctor and he was a writer. So the woman was a woman doctor, was a practicing doctor, and he became very furious because the first chapter talks about a healthcare in a different way. He was very furious, and he jumped on you, and he said that how you came to know that, and it was a long 2 hours of debate. Before everything started, they were just like debating why you probably have this and that and that and so. And then on the next day, I read the next chapter, and he became quiet. And he said that yes, probably there was something we were missing, something we were not trying to understand. Because we are always saying self-healing is a placebo effect. All the time we say the self-healing means it's a placebo effect. It's placebo. And whenever something alternative medicine happens, something good happens, you say that there is no evidence on it. What is the evidence? How is it happening? So probably we need to think about this approach. As I say, that fast way we have all the way we have managed with such a low infrastructure, we have managed to go through this just by the power of alternative care models we have, systems, the grandma's, recipes. So that is what I think is very important. I think that social message is very important. If you're not putting a social reflection, you probably are not using the power, the grace, the blessings which the divine have given you, making you a writer.
That is so beautifully put, Mr. Joydip, because the fact that you're talking about the power of a pen, which is something I feel like in this world of technology, I feel like arts is something that people devalue sometimes. But also, I mean, the pen itself has a power. And I also really like how you use, like you as a writer, use your pen to kind of reflect on our culture, because in these times, and just not just COVID but in general, I feel like culture and our ancient teachings is something that kind of people are kind of forgetting in a way. So the fact that you've written a book that kind of reflects all these things, and I also feel like you don't devalue Western medicine. I feel like you give the reality on both sides, not just ancient Indian medicine but also Western medicine. So I feel like the fact that you are able to put that social message in your writing is something which is very commendable.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
Um,
much.
okay. Mr. Joydeep, we are in the last 5 minutes of our interview. So before we wrap up this session, I would like to give you a chance to just like maybe announce to the audience something related to your book, something they can look forward to.
Yeah, the book is going to be, we are going to have a major book launch program
Yes.
that is going to be uh, on Calcutta.
Mm-hmm.
It's in College Street. The College Street is the Asia's largest book hub. I mean, you can find all kinds of book there, all kinds of prices. I mean, I regularly visit there, and you find different prices. I mean, you can find a second-hand book, you can find you can sell back a book. So that's the Asia's largest hub of
Mm-hmm.
books. So I'm very thankful and grateful that Ukiyoto has organized a program, a book launch program there
Yes.
itself in Coffee House.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee House is what we say, it's a kind of Bengalis intellectual, if you look at all discussions happens there.
Yes.
I mean, even you can see the Satyajit Rai to all other people used to go
Yes.
to coffee house, discuss ideas, talk about ideas, and
Yes.
such a place. And Ukiyoto has organized the book launch of Neem Baba in such a place. So I think that all of the audience should come there, should enjoy the coffee there, should enjoy the discussion there.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, we will talk about Neem Baba, we'll talk about
Yes.
other books too. And I think that would be a wonderful gathering. That would be a
Can
wonderful
you give
year we
us
are
a
expecting, and
date? Can
that's
you give
25 September on 4 p.m. I think,
Okay.
and it's a day of Mahalaya, so
Mm-hmm.
it's another big day for our Bengalis, because that's the day which we think that Durga is arriving, and there will be a
Yes.
10-day festival. So there is, and the in the book, in the Neem Baba book, we talk about a goddess Nimai, where the climax happens.
Yes.
And in the climax we see that the Indian culture, you can see that neem is worshipped on some places like Sekandrabad. You have a 300-old neem tree,
Mm-hmm.
and they worship that. And so in different places neem is worshipped as abode of goddess Durga, as a tree itself. And so there is a culture of neem tree, and as I say, the grandma's recipes, all of the grandma's recipe will, there will be one part, there will be neem.
Yeah.
So, uh, one way this program is going to show you on so many different ways, and so many different ideas are going to come. So, I welcome everybody, all the audience, to come and join, and we'll have a great time together.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Joydeep, for giving such a wonderful time to not just your book itself, but also so much knowledge. I feel like during this session I got to learn about so many things, so many perspectives in general, and also I feel like it's very fascinating what you're trying to do with your writing, and I'm sure our audience feels the same. And I'm sure to put the information related to the launch in our post as well when I post this interview. So thank you so much again, Mr. Joydeep, for joining us, and thank you, audience, for being with us in this session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Namaste.
Bye.
Bye.